All right, folks, we're back on the firing coaches edition of the Red and White podcast. So before we started to record this morning, Scott Shafer from Syracuse just got fired. But he gets to coach the final game, so explain that one to me.
Yeah, that's just a really bad decision. I mean, why put that out? It goes back to the when we fired TOB thing. We didn't let him coach the bowl game. That's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, why?
My only thing I can come to is that losing to us so badly is immediately fireable offense. I mean,
that could be it. I don't know. They just had a really bad 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Well, 8 weeks in a row. But
they're awful.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I mean, Syracuse is probably 12th on the list of 13th of the open vacancies. I mean, nobody wants to go to Syracuse.
Oh.
So
really,
they're not going to get the jump on anybody.
No, and do you really fire the guy when, okay, they haven't done great, but how's their quarterback situation been for multiple seasons now?
Yeah, so I was talking with my Syracuse friend about this past weekend, and he's like, we're just frustrated. I was like, well, he's got nothing. You got to give the guy more than, I think he's only been there, is this his first year? Second year.
Second, because the whole demoting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the point is, you got to give him more time. I mean, if you watch the game, they have nobody. I mean, they're playing a walk-on junior college transfer quarterback. Terrell Huntsman hurt for like the 6th year in a row, and they're running the triple option. Syracuse doesn't run the triple option, not anymore. They're just, it's patchwork right now, and I'm not gonna say Scott Shafer's a great coach, and he's probably an asshole, but you got to give the guy a little more time than that, especially at Syracuse, man. They got nobody. It's gonna take a long time to turn that one around.
I mean, nobody wants to go there. I don't know that you can really turn it around that much.
That's gonna be a tough one to do, just because of the area. Like, there's nobody up there to recruit. No. You might get some local kids, but anybody good in the Northeast is going to go to Notre Dame or one of the other schools that's playing better than Syracuse. I mean, hell, UConn's better than Syracuse at this point.
Yeah, well, and they have a better quarterback. And where did he come from? Oh,
that's right.
The guy that wasn't good enough to get playing time for us is a better quarterback at UConn than Syracuse has. So let's fire the coach.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't understand why I let him coach the last game. I don't get that at all.
No.
He coached this game like he didn't care either. He was like, 4th down. He was just doing, I don't know. I didn't.
Well, I think you kind of got to when you're having a season like theirs.
I guess.
You've got to try something. I don't know. I don't understand going for 2 in the first half.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
So let's back up a little bit here. The opening drive, which I think the opening drive for both teams really kind of set the tone for the game. Syracuse gets the ball, and they go down the field pretty good. They get to the 4th and 1, they kick a field goal.
Yeah.
I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, that really was it, though. We scored, they settled. Yeah. I mean,
yep. And then we come down right down the other way, score, and it made it look easy. To be honest, it was an indication how the game was going to go.
Yeah.
So
I think Nichols, that first long run he had on the first drive, man, that really surprised me. I didn't realize he had that much burst/speed, and I'm kind of, why hasn't he played more than he has?
I thought he's shown it in some of the other games. I think it's blocking is why he hasn't played so much.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, they bring Gillespie in to block when it's passing downs for the most part. Nichols is rarely in there on a passing down.
Oh, so if you can get the blocking somewhat competent, then
he's tiny. I don't know.
Yeah, then it's just technique. And dirty play, but
chop blocks.
If he's willing to do it, then
he looked good. I mean, both those guys, they ran hard. I thought they were solid.
Yeah, it was good seeing running backs or multiple running backs get over 12 carries.
Like 276 total yards rushing.
Yeah, And for the first time in a while, I've been bitching multiple weeks now about how it doesn't matter. The average is skewed because of the long runs, but the average was still there after you take out the long runs for them this week. Gillespie had a long of 19, but he still averaged over 5 a carry on the other 12 carries, and that's a good day. Same thing for Nichols, over 5 on the 11 carries that wasn't the long of 19. So running game was there this week, but it was against a bad Syracuse team. So
yeah, I just watched the coaches show this morning, and Tony Haynes said that Nichols, Gillespie, and Jalen Samuels all averaged over 6.5 yards per carry. That's what you're trying to do. I mean, if you're trying to run the ball.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. Syracuse is awful.
They're terrible. They were. They were bad.
We treated them like they're awful. I mean, we played the way it should have. The game was not near as close as the final score was.
Yeah, absolutely not. It was kind of put it in cruise control there, about the mid-third quarter there, and Syracuse was still. They were scrappy. I'll give them that. They hung around, but yeah, it wasn't that close.
No, the first quarter stats for Jacoby were. Let's see. He went 7 of 8 for 78 yards and a touchdown. His only incompletion was an intentional throwaway out of bounds.
Wow.
So we had 78 passing yards. We rushed for 81. So 3-yard differential in run versus pass and 1 incompletion that he chose to take. That's as good as it gets.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's a really perfect offensive game in the first quarter there.
Huh. That is really good. I didn't realize it was that strong.
Yeah. And then there's not a whole lot to talk about with this. It was just a win, but the Ramos touchdown catch early in the third quarter.
Oh,
the one-hand grab, that was fantastic.
We have to work on his celebrations, but for the most part, he played really well. I thought he caught mostly everything that was thrown at him, and some of them were some tough catches. I thought he was strong.
Yeah, he's coming along. So I think the wide receiver situation next season will be a bit better.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, Syracuse is really bad, but they're still Division I athletes, and we dominated them. We dominated them like they're South Alabama or one of the other teams.
Yeah, I mean, if we played in the Atlantic, we would take all those wins too. So the caliber, the competition, the coastal.
The coastal, right?
But yeah, the caliber of competition doesn't matter as long as there's execution. So, I mean, good game defensively, good things too. That Roseboro pick is why I think we get so worked up over recruiting.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of what we have to come. But it was funny that I was on the coaching show, and you could tell Dorn was a little bit, I don't want to say gleeful about it, because he was laughing. It was the same play call, different quarterback, and different defensive end, the same result. Interception for a touchdown. I mean, that just doesn't happen that often.
Right.
It was funny. You can see a little smirk about him. You're like, all right.
But yeah, we get jacked up over recruiting.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always go the way you think it does. Go ahead.
No, yeah. So to your point about that, I saw a quote on the Wolfpacker by Waffle Cone, and I had to share it because I thought it was perfect. And people get all bent out of shape, losing to Virginia Tech, losing to Louisville. Frustrated. I get it. But this is what he said. I've also heard secondhand from some NFL scouts in the area that check out all the Triangle schools each fall on a regular basis that NC State's roster in year one of Dave Dorn's tenure was as bad as what Cutcliffe inherited. One said that 2013 2013 team was the worst looking NC State team from an NFL perspective he had seen in 20 years. I've heard Torrey Holt pretty much say the same thing on the radio. Dorn has built up a roster pretty quickly from very bad places. Still has a ways to go, of course, but at least we have dudes that actually look like they can play. And I think that's, what people have to remember. We said it before. The team was awful, and even Tony Haynes said it in the 2013 game against Cuse. It was something to the effect that it was men versus boys when we were playing Cuse, and
they were bad.
That's progress.
Too. Syracuse wasn't barn beaters then. They were still bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's just how far down we were and how far they've come. I think it's people can't forget that. I think that was it was really well said. It was a little bit of perspective on how much progress is being made when you have 5-star Darian Roseborough, showing why he's a 5-star. Right, the guy's still a true freshman, so he's had a great year. Yeah, I had to share that. I screenshotted that and saved it because I thought it was perfect.
I mean, if you want to look at the talent from the first team, just go back to the season before where TOB got fired and the Virginia game at home.
Right.
And them destroying us. That's what he inherited. That team took a downward spiral. There was nobody there to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's it. That's right. I mean, he's built from the bottom. And, I know this isn't quite the season that we all hoped for. The Louisville and VT games were games that we could have won. But from a team that's still in rebuild mode, I mean, 3 years into it, we lost to Louisville and VT, but those are the first 2 conference games. Since then, the only losses that we've had are Clemson and Florida State, and that's nothing to just hang your head at.
Yeah.
We're winning the other games that we should be winning. And, yeah, the first 2 losses sucked, but they've gotten better since then. So
I think you're right. And people always say, well, Doran's 5-17 in ACC play, or whatever the number used to be. It was a couple weeks ago I heard that. I was like, well, 6 of those games have been versus Clemson and Florida State. So let's take those out. Now it's 5-11. Now he's 6-11, or whatever the numbers are. It's getting better, right? Those are games we hadn't won before.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think there's definitely progress being made, and people need to be patient and see it. And you can see it in games like this when you just dominate another ACC school.
Right.
But
end of the day, they're still ACC, even if they're terrible. So
yeah, I'll give the coaching some credit too. We went 3 for 3 on 4th downs, and Dorn pointed out that Syracuse hasn't stopped anybody's 4th downs this year. They're 9 for 9, so now 12-12 converting 4th downs against Syracuse. I think that's pretty good coaching to pick up on that and then exploit it. I thought that was great. I figured that should be pointed out.
Right. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, it's Syracuse. Not a lot to say. We did what we should have done. I will say one little final note to the Syracuse wide receiver that came out after the game and talked about how they just don't like us for some reason. Well, guess what, asshole? We don't like you either. So we're 8-1 against you all time. So come back when you can do something about that.
Seriously, first of all, where did that come from?
I had no idea.
I think it probably came from the George McDonald situation, and his tweet after the game was just a screenshot of Ice Cube and just said, "Bye, Felicia." I thought that was perfect. It was really funny because there's a lot of animosity there, but the whole Syracuse thing went down and he bounced and all that. But I thought that was great. I mean, they're basically the new Maryland fan. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I will
everybody's
say
going to hate them.
They have an excuse because they're actually Yankees, so they should be an asshole. Maryland just had no excuse. I mean, they're just pompous and arrogant and pretty much the same thing. But yeah, they can go away. So
they can eat a dick.
Yeah.
I didn't want them in the first place. Whatever. Now they're just a pain in my side here.
Yeah, they were good for basketball, and now that's going to be gone too. So
right.
There is basically a year or two when that basketball thing really takes a toll. They're going to be as useful as Wake Forest. So.
Mm-hmm. Great. Wake Forest just lost to Richmond.
Yeah, well.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break, get some words from our sponsors, and then come back and talk about the game I really don't want to talk about, but we will anyway. Carolina week.
If there's one thing state fans do well, it's tailgate. And I know for me, the most important part of a tailgate is a well-packed cooler. You have to ask yourself 2 questions. How clean is your cooler, and how cold are your drinks? Nobody wants to reach into a dirty cooler and grab a warm beer. Now, I've put rock salt in my coolers for years to try and chill beverages a little bit quicker, but a lot of times I'll either use too little or too much, and I'll have a can filled with slush. I'm also guilty of being a little bit lazy when it comes to cleaning the cooler after I'm finished with it. Then I found Frostbite Cooler Salt. This isn't just salt, it's salt combined with safe and organic ingredients that clean your cooler while it's getting your beer super cold. The really cool part is that it doesn't just clean your cooler, but it cleans everything that goes into it. So when you pull that beer out, it's not just going to be super cold, but the can itself is actually going to be germ-free. And it comes conveniently packaged with the perfect amount to sprinkle over 20 pounds of ice. You can find it in a growing number of stores in the Raleigh area, as well as online if you're outside the Triangle. So check out coolersalt.com, that's COOLER salt.com, to find the closest location to you and see how you can have a clean and cold cooler every time. Frostbite Cooler Salt. Colder, faster, cleaner.
All right, folks, we're back, and it's time to talk Carolina.
Go to hell, Carolina week.
Yes,
the official one of the year.
Yeah, I mean that's every week of the year for me. But
yeah, your Coastal Division champion Tar Heels.
I have such a hard time talking smack about the Heels when we play them, just because it always comes back to bite me. And so I don't even know what to say right now, just because I try to keep my mouth shut all week. For all my Carolina friends are just jibber jabbering. And like last year, I thought we were going to lose, and we whipped them. But even the most confident I've ever been against Carolina, somehow we seem to do something NC State-ish, and I'm not sure what to say right now. But they're 10-1. That's good no matter what your schedule is, even if you're playing Chump City and the Coastal and A&T and all that stuff. I mean, their losses to a South Carolina team that just lost to the Citadel, so there's that.
Yeah, I thought that was going to set them up for a horrible year. So,
yeah,
good for Fedora, I guess, not letting that end it. And he'll get talked for Coach of the Year, but really, I think Gene Chizik should be Coach of the Year. Because if they had, that defensive change is the only reason they're 10-1.
Yeah, I think there's something to that for sure. I don't know. I didn't think he's that good of a coach, but they're playing defensively, playing better, and they're winning. So, I think you're going to hear Fedora's name with some of the bigger jobs that are coming open.
See, I don't know that anybody will take a chance on him yet.
For sure they will.
Thing. You think he's gone?
Oh, I think he's gone. I think maybe Missouri. He came from Southern Miss, so maybe Missouri's in that region. He comes. And they come knocking on the door. He can score a lot of points. That's what people want to see. And, he's done it under the fire of sanctions and NCAA and all this other stuff. And, the guy's gotten it done. They're scoring.
See, I see him going to the Big 12 when he does leave.
He'd be a good fit in Big 12. I think he is a Texas guy.
Yeah. That Texas guy plus the offense thing, which is what the Big 12 is about now. They sure as hell don't play defense. So I don't know. They're 10-1, but they can be beat.
Right.
And they put up these scary numbers on offense, but their explosiveness on offense correlates with bad defenses. They don't blow teams out that can competently play defense.
Yeah. I get it. I don't know.
You're not going to be any help with this. I want to tell everyone why we're going to win.
Okay.
You're extremely unconfident, and I'm not comfortable with that. So their explosiveness on offense it's when they play bad defenses. This is the same offense that they had last year, but it's actually putting up slightly worse numbers, isn't it?
Really?
I don't know that it's better than last year. Their defense is, the only difference. I just don't see it.
Arguably, they put up their two best games against two bad teams with Duke and Miami. So I'll give you that.
Wake Forest, awful. They score 50 against. Virginia, they get 26. Pitt, the only ranked team they played, 26. Pitt's not fantastic. That's a low ranking. And then VT this week, they only get 30, and it took overtime, and I still don't think they scored. But
I do like the Carolina fans pointing out that they beat Wake Forest by more than Clemson beat Wake Forest. So now that they're going to beat Clemson.
I mean, if that's where we have to go with this now, then yeah. I mean, what was the Syracuse Clemson score?
Oh, yeah. It was like 34-20 or something, 37-24.
We scored more on Clemson, or more on Syracuse than Clemson did, so why didn't we beat them?
Yeah, that's right.
So, no, you can't do that. No.
Yeah.
And so offensively, I don't think they're fantastic. I mean, they're good. They're really good. But if a defense knows how to stop them, which we stopped this same offense last year, I don't think they get over 40 on us.
Yeah, I don't think
30
so either.
Is push. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 28-24 type game.
It's typically how it goes with these two these two teams. The matchups usually on the lower side. I think their strength is their wide receivers, and other than maybe Burris having a pretty good year, secondary is a concern. I think that's something we're going to be worried about. Our defensive line should do a pretty good job. Hood's pretty good. He's having a pretty good year. I think he's actually 1,000-yard rusher. He's having a very good year.
That's the upside to days going down.
Right, absolutely. Thanks. So I think our defensive line kind of cancel out that, but I'm still questioning our secondary, given what Carolina has on offense. I think if we can come out and the same sort of mentality as last year and punch Marquise in the mouth, or you're likely to have the same result. But I think he's a little bit better than last year. He has had some turnover problems. I think he even fumbled twice in that Virginia Tech game right at the end of the game too. So they're not unbeatable, but I think they are better than last year.
On offense.
Offensively, yeah.
See, I think it's all about defense, and that's the only reason their record's better. They can outscore people. They can outscore most people.
Mm-hmm.
But they're better on defense, but their defense is still nothing super special. They just run a common sense defense, which is the complete opposite of that trash they were doing last year.
Yeah.
But I think we come out normal, balanced offense, super aggressive defense, get tight coverage on the receivers off the line, show some different blitz schemes, rattle them early, just like you said, just like last year, and I think we come out maybe 10-point win.
Unfortunately, this one's going to come down to a field goal.
You think?
Yeah.
That's not good for us.
Yeah, that's not good for us.
No.
I don't know. I'm not sure. If we had Days and Thornton, I'd be a little bit more confident. It's just something just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is.
Well, what doesn't feel right is that they won their division.
Yeah, well,
and they're 10-1. But I think there could be a couple of things that they know that they get their shot against Clemson, and I think there could be a look ahead, look down upon us like they always do.
Right. So that's kind of where I was thinking with this, is that it could, they could be looking. This game doesn't mean anything to them. They're still, we can playoff. They got no chance of getting the playoff. Their schedule doesn't support it. There's too many other good one-loss teams. They're not getting it. But they're looking at the ACC championship, right? Or they're celebrating their coastal rings and looking forward to Clemson. Yeah, now I think there's a little bit something to it. But given the fact that we whipped them last year in their stadium, I think they're going to be a little bit more focused this year.
Yeah. I don't know. I really think we have them by probably 10. I don't know why. They have yet to impress me, and it's probably bias, but I can't look at their schedule and see that many games that impress me. Georgia Tech was probably the most impressive, and they were down 21 in that one to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, and it doesn't matter. I don't think we've played a game as bad all year as they played against South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina is terrible.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't know. I think we get the win. I don't want to really talk about it anymore. I'm going to talk myself out of it. But
yeah, I agree. I don't know. It should be a good game at the very least. Where they're like number 11 now or something.
Yeah, I guess.
That makes me want to vomit.
If we beat them by 21, are they still ranked?
I don't think so.
Be like 24 if they were.
I think if we beat them by 21, we might be higher ranked. Like
Yeah,
20,
right.
25, something like that.
So, yeah, I think they lose this. They lose to Clemson, and then if they're lucky, they get a bowl game they can win. But if it's against a decent team, I'm not so sure.
I'd love to see them go against a team, Baylor or Oklahoma State or one of those teams.
Oh yeah, let's see
I
how
think-
that defense is then.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'd really rather see them against a team that can play a little defense, though.
Yeah, so here, looking at their schedule right now while we're talking about this, and the offensive ineptitude of the teams they've played. Okay, let's go over this. South Carolina, terrible offense. Illinois, terrible offense. Illinois doesn't have a coach right now. Delaware, okay, whatever. Georgia Tech, they're a mess this year.
And that was right in the start of the spiral for Georgia Tech
Yeah, yep.
that they lost or they won that game. So
Wake Forest, terrible offense. Virginia, terrible offense. Pitt, okay, average offense, lost their best running back.
lost probably what could be the ACC's best running back.
Yeah, okay. But, all right, average. Duke, not very good offense this year. I don't think Duke had their quarterback not very good. Miami, terrible offense. Virginia Tech, unfortunately, bad offense, even though they scored more than us.
Yeah.
So they haven't played any good offenses this year, which is really strange.
Are we the best they have yet? Or will have?
I
I would take our
probably
offense
so.
over that schedule. Yeah.
I would think so. I would think we could probably put up comparable numbers against most of those teams.
Yeah. So we'll see what they're made of now because they have us and then
Clemson.
Clemson's one of the best in the country. Offense.
Yeah.
I mean, number one team, but offensively one of the best in the country. So
Yeah.
I think the tide might be turning just a little bit, and that's going to put a damper on Fedora's leaving shine. But
I still think he's gone. I think he's going to use this to get out of that dumpster fire.
I mean, he'll leave if he can. I just don't know. I mean, he tried to get the Tennessee job.
Yeah,
And they
that might
wouldn't
be
give
too
it to
big
him.
for him. Yeah.
So, and he can come out and say he didn't have interest. That's bullshit. He wanted it.
I bet you they'd take him right now.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, they would. You're crazy. You're
No.
too close to the Tennessee Orange.
I'm too close that I know that they wouldn't. Like they're going in a good direction.
I don't
Top
know.
recruiting classes every year, starting to win games. That's coming.
My other
good.
Tennessee fans are getting ready to kick Butch Jones to the curb about mid-season this
I mean, he
this
made
year.
some shit decisions, but overall, it's the same kind of thing where you got to give a guy time,
Yeah.
and they're getting the talent. They're going to be a problem, and especially for North Carolina recruiting. So that's already been a thing.
I think you see so many job openings this season, and so many other dominoes are going to fall. He's either getting a raise from Carolina or he's gone.
Yeah.
Because I think there's going to be the opportunity that somebody's going to want to take a flyer on him. You know, right now he's 9-1. Somebody's paying attention out
10-1.
there. It's just 10-1. So there's so many, dominoes are going to fall that he's inevitably going to get caught up in that, I think.
Plus, it's a good time for him to leave so he can be gone before kids figure out he lied to them about sanctions that are
Right.
coming or not coming.
Right.
So,
We need to have a whole podcast on that whatchamacallit, Manalishi post.
oh yeah. So we'll
It
get
took me a half hour to
read.
read.
That'll be a random after football thing. We'll dive in.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else about Carolina?
No, I'm trying to just avoid talking about it, so I'm just talking about coaching vacancies.
Yeah. We're gonna hit more on basketball after this one with football coming to a close, but they're getting better. There's growing pains, but that's okay. And redemption for the William and Mary loss. A loss without a starter isn't terrible. Look at Carolina this week.
So I can't wait for the ACC Sports to put out their next article about the worst losses, early season losses, like they did for us right after William and Mary loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Eat a dick. I'm on a eat a dick train today. A bunch of y'all.
It's Carolina week. It's what it reminds you of.
So. I guess that's why I'm so angry about it.
Yeah, Northern Iowa is right on par with William and Mary. So they also
Northern Iowa. Too. People are going to say, "Oh, hey, they were in the tournament last year. They were really good." True, but they lost 3 of their top 4 scorers.
Yeah,
they still have a couple, good players, and I know Marcus Page wasn't playing, but hey, you're number 1 in the country. You got to beat Northern Iowa.
Yeah, reloading Northern Iowa. And Northern Iowa doesn't just throw the players on the court in a year that are good enough to beat number 1 in the country.
Right.
So,
yes. So losses happen, especially nowadays. There's a lot of good basketball players. Everybody can beat anybody. It happens.
So we'll get more basketball after this one. Other than that, I just wanted to. We were talking about, or everyone was talking about all the openings in college and how Fedora might get caught up in it, but. It's not just Fedora that might be a thing. Les Miles is gone. There's no way he holds on to his job.
So somebody else brought that up earlier this weekend, and I was kind of on the fence about it, but then they got whipped. Now I'm like, well, maybe.
Ole Miss beat their ass.
Yeah. You kind of think it's hard. The guy who wins the national title, he's got a free pass, but LSU's got a lot of guys in the NFL. You're talking about a lot of talent they're not doing a whole lot with.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a lot of unhappiness when he got that extension. I think 2 years ago, and a lot of people didn't want that high up, but more won out for it. And he's looking. I mean, they're looking at a $15 million buyout to fire him, and that goes to my next point. If they're willing to pony up that much for a buyout, they will pay whatever they want for whatever coach they want. And they can afford it. So Jimbo Fisher is very high on LSU's list.
Yeah.
And he's got the SEC background. Does he leave? Does he take that?
So Jimbo, if I'm Jimbo, I don't take it because I'm in the ACC Atlantic. I have to beat one team every year to compete, and be playoff bound. I don't think so. But then if you look at, he doesn't have a quarterback. He's a little bit down this year. I don't know what FSU's losing. I feel like they can match LSU, but I don't know. If I'm Jimbo Fisher, I'm not sure if I want that job. I think I'm pretty comfortable at FSU.
It's a tougher job. I think he can get more money if he goes to LSU. And if he leaves this season, goes to LSU, he starts next year with the best running back in the country.
It's a good point.
I mean, that's a hell of a way to start, And they have the pieces there to win a national championship, just like Florida State. But Fournette is a once every 5 to 10 year player, and he's going to be working on that draft stock next season. So if you're going to leave and take that job, this is the best time that you could even imagine.
That's a fantastic point. I just don't know if I would do that if I'm Jimbo.
Yeah, I mean,
unless there's some other tie to LSU that he feels at home there, or I don't know what it is, but I don't think I would do it. You got to play in the SEC West every year.
Yeah.
Versus the ACC Atlantic. I don't know. I said this at the tailgate, just jumping topics again, but if Clemson, I'm pulling hard for Clemson to win the national title, and not because I want to recruit against the national title winner, but I want the ACC to get a little bit more respect. Because we'll have 2 schools that have won a national title in the last 5 years. We'll see how many other conferences can say that.
Yeah, in our division, nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, we play in the SEC West if Clemson wins the title.
Right, so let's get some respect to the ACC here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if I leave if I'm Jimbo, but I don't think Dabo Swinney's LSU bound. I think he's waiting for Saban to leave Alabama. Yeah. I'm reading your notes here, and I think you're exactly right.
Oh, he's out as soon as that happens.
I was so not sold on Dabo or when they hired him, or they kept him from interim coach. But man, he's done a great job. I can't argue that.
Yeah, I wasn't sold before this season. I was all aboard that offense will fall apart without Chad Morris, but this is the best year that he's had. I don't know if giving him more control turned out better for them, or I don't know how they really run the offense, or if Deshaun Watson's just that good, but everything's coming together. And if you don't know, Dabo was a walk-on wide receiver at Alabama,
Yep.
Got his coaching start as a grad assistant there. He's coached at 2 schools, Alabama and Clemson. So he's out. As soon as that's open, he's done. He's gone.
I think they would have to. He'd have to be high on their list.
Yeah.
I can't think anybody else.
No. And Clemson's got a ton of money, and they can pay whatever, but I cannot see Alabama losing someone on money. I mean,
no,
they will.
God, no.
They're not going to get beat.
No.
Financially, and then with the ties, I just can't see him. I can't see him staying in Clemson. He loves it, but that alma mater will get you back home. So,
how about Clemson beats Alabama in the playoff? Nick Saban retires because he's like 90, and Dabo goes to Alabama.
Ooh, that's tough. I don't think Saban retires. I think Saban goes to Texas.
Oh, that would be even better. Charlie Strong goes to Miami. Saban goes to Texas. Dabo wins the title and then goes to Alabama.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
Holy cow!
But there's another thing. Could you leave a school as you won a national title?
I would think so. I mean,
you could.
He's not going to pass up Alabama.
Yeah, that'd be tough. I think Charlie Strong gets one more year. I don't think he takes Miami. That's a shitty job now.
I think he can recruit there, and it's probably low pressure. He's just getting piled on at Texas, and I think he's a good coach.
I think he is. I think he stays there one more year, then he's done. Probably not by his choosing. Saban bolts to Texas. He turned it down once. I don't think he does it again.
Would you take Texas over Alabama?
Am I trying to win or am I trying to make money?
I think they both have money.
Yeah, but I think Texas can. They have their own network, man. I mean, they have their own network. They could set records for the money they pay or would pay.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, he's done what he can do at Alabama. I mean, the SEC called up to him.
Right.
He can go to the Big 12, and him recruiting the state of Texas would put quite the damper on A&M. I mean, they would take talent from them. If he can get the style of defense that he's played or coached for years at Alabama in the Big 12, it's a conference champion, undefeated, straight to the national championship every year.
Yeah. How about this one? Fedora to LSU.
Nah, too big a job.
Too big for him?
Yeah, I just can't see it. Like you said, Missouri might be a good spot for him.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a low pressure. South Carolina would be a good fit for Fedora, too.
I thought South Carolina would come hard at him. I really
still
do.
May. I'm still, no one talks about it, but Mark D'Antonio at Michigan State. I mean, South Carolina grad and played football there. I don't know why he would not be interested at all.
I think it was the Dan Wolken, the USA Today guy, had a whole thing about D'Antonio in South Carolina, why he wasn't going to go there. It was a couple weeks ago.
It's just weird to me. I don't know. It seems like a natural fit.
Yeah, especially, he's doing big things at Michigan State. So this is part of the reason why I won't get too down on not beating Louisville and Virginia Tech. Because if we had won those games, Doran would be, right in the middle of this, mess, this madness.
Yeah.
And I think he still might, but maybe, not this year, but at some point he's gonna get swept up under it. But this year would have been the worst because there's so many openings. It's gonna be just gonna be a massive train wreck.
Georgia is sticking with Mark Richt.
Are you for sure?
I mean, I was asking.
Oh, no chance. No, I think he's gone too. Whether he leaves on his own or they ask him to leave. I'm sure you've seen the rumors that he's been sitting on a contract for 9 months or whatever that he hasn't signed.
Yeah.
I think that Georgia is one of those teams that should be doing better every year. They have the talent. They're still winning 9-ish games, but you're playing in the SEC East, and it's been horrible for I don't know how many years, and you haven't won it. It's, at some point, those guys are gonna get frustrated, and I think he's as nice of guy as he is. I think he's gonna be gone at some point, and it might be this year.
See, that's as a Tennessee fan, I want him to stay forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think if they don't do it this year, that was my worry. They stick with him another year, collapse again next year, pull the trigger. Doran has a good year. He would be a fantastic fit at Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, I see him. I don't know. I don't. If he leaves, it's going to be for the SEC because I think he could have been at Wisconsin, but didn't want it.
Right. I think we're sort of like and this is going to sound way out of left field. We're sort of like the FSU job. If Doran wins here, it's a perfect spot for you. It's going to be fairly low pressure. Right. You win 8 to 10 games every year. Compete every third year, whatever. I wouldn't leave.
No. And the thing is,
we have the money.
And we talked about Jimbo and Dabo. If Jimbo took LSU and when Saban leaves and Dabo goes to Bama, guess what? The Atlantic's open again.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be an interesting 1 to 2 years, coaching wise. Our fortunes could change dramatically. So
right.
Anyway, I'm gonna quit talking.
Yeah. Who's your top 4, real quick? Playoff.
Top 4? Mm-hmm. I like the 4 they picked. I think that's fair.
Clemson,
Bama,
Alabama.
Yeah.
Iowa and Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, I'm still, I guess, is the only one. I don't know. I think Michigan State should be up there.
I think if Michigan State, so it's going to be Michigan State or Iowa. I think whichever one of those guys wins. I think Iowa's got a little bit of the Carolina schedule.
Yeah.
But I think whoever wins that Big Ten title game is going to be in. And I've been impressed with Oklahoma. I know they lost to Texas, but I'm going to chalk that one up to being a fluke.
Well, if you say that, then Carolina could be undefeated.
Okay.
But no, I think the only reason I'm okay with Iowa there now is because they haven't played Michigan State yet.
I agree. It's a where they are now, not who's going to be there at
the end. Yeah. Like they have to be there based on record performance, but I don't know that it's going to end that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think exactly right. It's not a prediction of who's going to be there. It's where they are now. I think you put Iowa in there,
and I think Michigan State gets in there, and then this is how crazy college football is. Think about the way Michigan State beat Michigan.
Yeah.
If that hadn't happened, they would have no chance.
Yep.
But now have a realistic shot of getting into the playoff. So one play can change a season.
That's crazy.
It sucks, but you look at that and you're like, damn. It really can.
I was really impressed that they beat Ohio State with 2 backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a coaching job up there.
Ohio State is, they're not the team they were last year.
Right. That's a product of their schedule as well.
Exactly. So
yeah.
That's all I got, man.
That's all I got, too. I don't want to talk about it anymore. We'll wait till Saturday.
Football's football. It'll happen Saturday. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving, though. Safe travels.
Oh, absolutely.
And be thankful we're not Carolina, I guess. So that's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Pack plays Arizona State tonight at 9. So
God, I wish that was last year. Return of Herb.
Oh, that would have been ugly, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
So
yeah.
All right. Well, y'all have a good week.
All right. Go Pack.
Go Pack.